The blizzard howled across the settlement of Nueva Terra like a living thing, clawing at sealed doors and rattling reinforced windows. Most colonists had retreated to their climate-controlled homes, content to wait out the storm that the weather satellites had predicted would last 3 more days. The alien world's winters were brutal, far harsher than anything Earth had produced in centuries. Veyron dragged himself through the knee-deep snow, each movement sending fresh waves of agony through his shattered wing. The membrane hung in tatters, frozen blood crystallizing along the tears. His scales, normally a brilliant azure that shimmered like captured starlight, had dulled to a lifeless gray. The wound in his side leaked ichor that froze almost instantly in the sub-zero temperatures. He had been shot down during a territorial dispute with a rival clan, a stupid, pointless conflict over hunting grounds that now seemed absurdly trivial. His ship had crashed somewhere in the mountains, and he'd been walking for 2 days. 2 days without food, without shelter, with only his failing body heat to keep him from becoming a frozen sculpture in this alien landscape. The first door he knocked on belonged to a Zenthari merchant. The insectoid being had opened the door a crack, antennae twitching before slamming it shut. No dragons, it had chittered. Bad for business. The second door was a Cavalian's. The aquatic creature hadn't even opened the door fully, simply projecting a hologram that stated, "Medical facilities full. Try the colony center." The colony center had been door number 3, closed for the storm. Doors 4 through 12 blurred together in Veyron's fading consciousness. A Threxian family who feared he might eat their children. A human couple who called security. A Meldorian who simply laughed and said, "Dragons deserve what they get." Each rejection drove the cold deeper into his bones, made his heart beat slower, made the idea of simply lying down in the snow seem increasingly reasonable. By the time he reached the 13th door, Veyron could barely lift his clawed hand to knock. His vision had narrowed to a tunnel, and his body shook with violent tremors. This would be his last attempt. If this door rejected him, he would find a quiet place to die. At least the cold would make it peaceful. The knock was weak, barely audible over the wind. For a long moment, nothing happened. Veyron began to turn away. Then the door opened. A human woman stood in the doorway, silhouetted by the warm light from within. She was small. Humans always seemed impossibly small to Veyron, with dark hair pulled back in a practical bun and eyes that widened at the sight of him. She wore simple clothes, a faded sweater and worn pants, and held a steaming mug in her hands. "Oh my God," she breathed. Veyron tried to speak, to apologize for disturbing her, but his tongue felt thick and useless. He managed only a weak rumble before his legs began to buckle. No, wait." The woman, Aria, he would learn later, set down her mug and darted forward, impossibly trying to catch a creature 10 times her size. She couldn't hold his weight, but she guided his fall, helping him slump against the doorframe rather than collapse face first into the snow. Okay, we're going to get you inside," she muttered, more to herself than to him. "Come on, big guy. Work with me here." What happened next would later become legend in the settlement, though the accounts varied wildly. What was certain was that Aria, all 5 feet and 3 inches of her, somehow maneuvered a 12-foot dragon through her doorway. She used furniture sliders, leverage, and what Veyron dimly recognized as an absurd amount of determination. She talked the entire time, a steady stream of encouragement and reassurance that cut through the fog threatening to claim his mind. "Almost there. That's it. Just a little further. I've got you. You're safe now." When Veyron finally regained full consciousness, he found himself sprawled across Aria's living room floor, covered in every blanket she owned. Emergency heat lamps, the kind used for winter camping, surrounded him like artificial suns. The wounds in his wing and side had been cleaned and bandaged with obvious care, though the medical supplies were clearly meant for creatures much smaller than him. Aria sat nearby in an armchair, dark circles under her eyes, monitoring a medical scanner she'd clearly borrowed from somewhere. When she noticed his eyes opening, she smiled. "Welcome back," she said softly. "You've been out for about 6 hours. How do you feel?" Veyron's throat was painfully dry, but he managed to rasp out, "Why?" Aria tilted her head. "Why what?" "Why help me?" His voice grew stronger, tinged with genuine confusion. "The others, they all refused. You don't know me. I could be dangerous. I'm a dragon. We're not known for our gentle nature. Arya set down the scanner and leaned forward, her expression serious. Do you want to know what I saw when I opened that door? Veyron waited. I saw someone who was hurt and scared and alone. I saw someone who had knocked on 12 other doors before mine. Someone who was so desperate that they were willing to risk one more rejection, even though it might kill them. She paused. I saw someone who needed help. The rest? The rest is just details. But look, Arya interrupted gently. I'm a nurse. Or I was back on Earth. Out here I'm just a librarian because the colony has enough medical staff. But I took an oath once and I've never forgotten it. First, do no harm. That doesn't come with conditions. It doesn't say except dragons or only humans or unless it's inconvenient. She stood and walked to a small kitchen area, returning with a large bowl of warm broth. Besides, my grandmother used to say that character isn't measured by what you do when people are watching. It's measured by what you do when a stranger knocks on your door in the middle of a blizzard. Veyron accepted the bowl with trembling claws, overwhelmed by a feeling he couldn't quite name. The others thought I was dangerous. Are you? Arya asked simply. Are you going to hurt me? No. The answer came without hesitation. Then they were wrong. She smiled. Drink your soup. You need to rebuild your strength. And when you're ready, you can tell me your name. Veyron, he said quietly. My name is Veyron. Nice to meet you, Veyron. I'm Arya. She settled back into her chair. Now drink. Doctor's orders. Well, librarian's orders, but close enough. As Veyron sipped the warm broth, feeling life slowly return to his frozen body, he watched his unlikely savior. She had returned to her medical scanner, making notes on a datapad, completely unconcerned about the massive predator in her living room. Humans, he thought, were utterly inexplicable, and perhaps, just perhaps, that was exactly what made them extraordinary. Outside, the blizzard continued to rage. But inside, in a modest home that smelled of old books and kindness, a wounded dragon found something he hadn't expected to find on an alien world: humanity.